Engines do not care about feelings. Riders do. Picture this. You are standing in a Harley Davidson showroom late in the afternoon. The lights are bright, the chrome is polished, and there is that faint smell of rubber and fuel that never really leaves a dealership. Rows of big twins sit on their stands like sleeping animals. A sales banner on the wall shows a smiling couple in matching jackets rolling down a desert highway. Out on the floor it is quieter than the poster. A salesman leans on the counter. A service tech rolls an empty jack back into the shop. In the corner a single LiveWire electric bike hums to itself as it charges, its display glowing in the half light. No rumble. No gasoline. Just a quiet reminder that the future is not going to wait for anybody, even a legend. You scroll your phone and see the headline. Harley Davidson retail motorcycle sales down again. LiveWire revenue climbing. New chief executive on the way. Same old question. Can Harley keep its soul and still stay alive? Welcome back to Haunted Throttle Night Shift. Haunted Throttle. Tune in while you tune up. Tonight we are talking about Harley Davidson, its electric child LiveWire, and the fight to keep one of the most famous names in motorcycling from turning into nothing but a memory on a t-shirt. Let us start with the numbers, because numbers do not care about nostalgia. In the most recent quarter, Harley told investors that global retail motorcycle sales fell compared to the same time last year. Fewer bikes actually left showrooms in the hands of riders. North America softened. Europe softened even more. The company still made money because it shipped bikes to dealers and focused on richer models, but the message under the accounting tricks was simple. The river of new riders buying new Harleys is not as deep as it used to be. At the very same time, the electric side of the family told a different story. LiveWire, the electric motorcycle brand that Harley spun out but still controls, reported revenue climbing on higher unit sales. It is still a small company that loses money, but the graph is pointing upward instead of downward. A few years ago, LiveWire looked like a science project. Now it looks more like a lifeboat that is still under construction. Into that crossroads walks a new name on the office door. Artie Starrs, a leader from the world of restaurants and sports entertainment, has been hired as the next president and chief executive of Harley Davidson. The previous boss, Johan Zeitz, moves into an advisor seat on the board while Starrs takes the bars and shield for the day-to-day job. He knows how to run a network of locations that sell an experience, not just a product. Now he has to apply that skill to a company that sells identity on two wheels. So here is the picture. You have an aging core customer base that loves air-cooled thunder and long-distance chrome. You have a young electric division that attracts a different kind of rider. You have dealers who survived a rough few years and are nervous about the next one. The job now is to steer between those cliffs without breaking the ship. What does that look like from the saddle? Part 1. The sound of the showroom. Walk into an old-school Harley store and you can read the last 20 years in the carpet. There is the corner where the used bikes gather. There is the clothing area that keeps the lights on when unit sales dip. There is the service desk that always has a line when the first cold front hits and everyone suddenly remembers that brake pads are not immortal. For a long time the business model was straightforward. Sell large cruisers and touring bikes to riders in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Sell them accessories. Sell them a bigger bike in a few seasons. Make sure the Saturday ride and the barbecue feel like family. Harley was not just a company. It was a club that happened to issue loans. Now look closer. Those riders are aging out. Some cannot justify the payment anymore. Some switch to lighter adventure bikes from other companies because bad knees and bad backs do not care about brand loyalty. New riders exist, but they are walking into a world where used Japanese nakeds, small adventure machines, and electric toys compete for their attention. The dream of the big V twin and the cross-country trip is fighting against rent, student loans, and cramped city streets. That is the ghost that haunts the Harley showroom. Empty spots on the floor feel louder than any exhaust. Part 2. The quiet kid in the corner. If you have stood next to a LiveWire, you know it feels like a cousin, not a twin. The frame and stance look familiar. The lack of pipes does not. Instead of a big engine shaking at idle, you get a compact motor with instant torque and a faint whine. Engineers even added a little artificial pulse so it would not feel completely dead at a stoplight. On the balance sheet, LiveWire is still tiny. The company sells a few hundred full-size electric bikes a quarter. It has a youth model that looks more like an off-road toy than a highway machine. Losses run into the tens of millions a year. But the direction of travel matters. Unit sales have jumped. Revenue is rising. Reviews from riders who actually try the bike are almost embarrassingly positive. Twist the throttle on one and the old joke about Harleys being slow stops being funny. The problem is not the bike. The problem is the fit. The typical LiveWire buyer does not always look like the traditional Harley customer. They might be city commuters. They might come from the tech world. They care about fast charging, range, and lane splitting more than about floorboards and chrome rails. If Harley chases the crowd too hard, it risks leaving its core riders feeling abandoned. If it ignores that crowd, it risks waking up one day as a heritage brand while electric competitors own the future. Part 3. The New Captain. This is where Artie Stars comes in. He built his career in businesses where people go for fun. Pizza. Golf ranges with music and lights. Family-friendly and couple-friendly nights out where the product and the atmosphere mix together. On paper that might seem like an odd fit for a motorcycle company. But think about what Harley dealerships really are. They are not just stores. They are clubhouses. Bike nights, charity rides, live music in a corner of the parking lot. For many riders, the social side is as important as the machine. A leader who understands how to turn a location into a recurring experience could be exactly what Harley needs. Imagine a future where the local dealership is less about closing a single big sale and more about creating a place that keeps riders and potential riders coming back. Demo days for LiveWire and gas bikes side by side. Classes on basic maintenance. Electric charging pads in the lot. Streaming Moto America or flat track races on a big screen while people wait for their oil change. At the same time, there is a risk. If Harley leans too far into the lifestyle branding and forgets that the heart of the business is still steel and engineering, riders will notice. Nobody shows up at a bike night just to pay for coffee. They show up because the machine and the slot outside means something. Part 4. What this means for the rest of us. So you are listening to this in your garage right now, maybe sitting next to a Sportster, a Road Glide, a LiveWire, or something from a completely different company. Why should you care about the corporate drama in Milwaukee? Because when a giant moves, the ground under the whole industry shifts a little. If Harley doubles down on big touring bikes and custom baggers, that keeps a certain kind of road culture alive. If it pivots harder toward middleweight machines and electric commuters, that sends a signal to other manufacturers that the future really is lighter, quieter, and more city-focused. If LiveWire is allowed to grow into a wild experiment, we might see more strange and interesting electric platforms. If LiveWire is kept on a short leash, we might watch another chance at a bold future turn into a museum piece. For riders, the smart move is to watch with clear eyes and selfish hearts. If you love your current bike, keep it maintained and keep it ridden. Support the local dealer when they are doing right by you. Show up for the events that feel real, skip the ones that feel like a forced photo opportunity. If you are curious about electric, do not just argue about it on the internet. Go ride one. Feel the way instant torque changes your sense of what a motorcycle can do in a city. If you are a younger rider who has never cared about Harley at all, this might be the most interesting time to pay attention. You could be watching the company either reinvent itself in real time or slowly become background noise. Both are historic in different ways. And if you work in the industry, from small garages to big suppliers, you already know what is at stake. Harley is not the only name in the game, but it is a lighthouse. When the light changes color, ships in every direction adjust their course just a little. In the end, this is not really a story about one company. It is a story about what happens when tradition, technology, and time all pile up at the same intersection. Somewhere 10 years from now, a rider will roll a bike out of a showroom. Maybe it will be a roaring touring machine with a big twin and hard bags. Maybe it will be a silent electric with a range map on the dash. Maybe both will wear the same badge on the tank. That rider will not care about quarterly reports or board meetings. They will care about the way the bike feels in the first mile away from the curb. Our job in the present is to pay attention to the choices being made that shape that future mile. For Harley Davidson and LiveWire, the next few years are going to decide what kind of stories we tell about them on Night Shift. Are we talking about a brand that found a way to honor its history while pushing into a new era, or are we talking about a giant that waited too long to change and slowly faded into the background behind newer names? For now, the engines are quiet, the spreadsheets are loud, and the rest of us are watching. This has been Haunted Throttle Night Shift. Tune in while you tune up.